do say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you, Aish Ha'Torah. You do very good work, and what you do and the message you put. I could have used you in my life about 25 years ago, actually. I figured. But I had parents who honored Judaism as a race, a way of life, and a faith, and they raised me real well. I wouldn't have made Schindler's List without my mother and father's help. I thought it was mind-boggling. I was back watching everything that's been on the television satellite for the last hour, and I think it's pretty mind-boggling. This link from Moscow to New York to Toronto to Jerusalem to here. I feel that technology has come so far and has taken us along for the ride. It's exciting, but technology can open so many doors, and yet our hearts and minds must still do all the legwork. Prior to this era of high technology and very easy communication, ignorance was the easy excuse when it came to the issue of prejudice. In this country, it wasn't uncommon to hear someone say, "I never met a Jew growing up. There weren't any in my neighborhood." That argument no longer works. In this age of global communication in which our planet is virtually circled by satellites bouncing words and images and ideas from one place to another, we have gone a very, very long way toward eradicating ignorance once and for all. And yet, racial intolerance still exists. Suspicion and hatred live on, and worse, they've been thriving. Why are we more distant from each other than ever, now when we have the ability to see into each other's lives and to see how similar all of us are? Our communication network has given us unprecedented access to every culture. So what is going wrong? I believe that seeing isn't necessarily believing, and knowledge is not enough to stop great hatred. It all comes back to us as individuals, who we are as human beings. It comes down to making moral choices and doing what is right, not just for ourselves and our families, but for those who we may never meet or never get to know. I believe the world is too small not to regard our neighbors as blood relations. And for those of you in Moscow, if there's still a link, is there still a link? Is there still a link to Moscow right now?
No.
Well,
we will be sending the tape to them. We have to move the satellite.
okay, when you see this on tape, let me just say, because we were going to talk back and forth for a while, but that didn't work out. And I've got 3 shows on NBC. I could have made a phone call and gotten at least another half hour. I wish you could have constantly.
I asked the satellite company. Our producer told us that.
Okay. All right. For all of those in Moscow, for one thing, I would like to come to Minsk and meet those young people, those young students. And without promising, I'm going to Russia for the first time in about 3.5 weeks for the premiere of Schindler's List there. It's the first time in history that Russia has ever legitimately had an opening of an American film. Usually in the past, in the former Soviet Union, they get all their American films from Cuba for free. And now, with such great interest in the Shoah, I think it's remarkable that they've allowed this film legitimately to be shown in motion picture theaters throughout the former Soviet Union, so I'll be going over there for that reason. But what I wanted to say to those in Moscow about satellite and communication is, in the past 10 years, you in Russia have joined the global community in a way the rest of us will never be able to understand. Suddenly, you are being visually bombarded. How do you make sense of all this incoming information? For the rest of us, the challenge is different but no less urgent. And because we see so much on TV, more than ever before in history, we have become somewhat desensitized to it all. Information sometimes passes through us without being seriously considered. It's easy to find new excuses for keeping our minds shut. A popular refrain is, with so many people saying so many things, who knows what's true? No more can we ignore our responsibility to do something with the information we are taking in through satellites around the world. Listen to the words and to the images, but don't stop there. Everything you get is just a piece of a puzzle. Schindler's List, for example, is just one thread in a great tapestry of works on the Holocaust. Open your mind and let one thread lead you to another and another. And by following the threads, the tapestry will reveal itself. We're all part of it. A tapestry that stretches from Los Angeles to New York, to Moscow, to Sydney, to Jerusalem, and back to LA. If any part of it is weakened, we all suffer. Ignorance, hatred, fear, and suspicion damage each and every one of us. So we owe it to ourselves and each other not to be ignorant. We have the tools, we have our minds, we have no excuses. Thank you very much.
I want to give you my personal word of assurance that that tape will be delivered to our students in Russia. Just a couple of quick questions. Did you ever expect when you made the movie that it would have such a profound impact? And how do you feel about that?
When I make a movie, and this wasn't a movie, and I knew that going in, that this was an experience that I thought I was sharing with my family and my friends, and my new Polish friends, my new Croatian friends, and my new German friends, and my new Israeli friends when we all went to Krakow to make Schindler's List. None of us thought it was a motion picture. We thought it was a document based on Thomas Keneally's document of oral histories and acts of bearing witness. So for me, I thought that this was going to be more of a teaching tool than a motion picture that would be accepted by people who go to the movies, who pay money to sit down and eat their popcorn and be entertained. I had no idea the film would be received as open-heartedly as it has. And I especially heard today kind of an amazing statistic that already in Europe alone, over 75 million people have seen Schindler's List in motion picture theaters. So it's amazing. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's amazing. As someone who has and continues to change the world, Stephen, to whom and to what do you attribute this drive?
Well, you know, I don't smoke, I don't drink, so I have to make movies, I guess. You know, I've always attributed whatever this drive is, this force that I think a lot of writers and directors and actors have, and I've shared with them in discussing, breaking down why we do what we do, because it's kind of painful what we do. We get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's 40 degrees below zero, and we're out there sometimes, most of the time, at least in my experience, I make believe for a living. And so it was a very profound and cathartic experience to report events that actually happened so people wouldn't forget. My mother drives me and always has. She's the main reason. And also, you know, it's nice to know that this organization, Aish Ha'Torah, is right next door to the Milky Way restaurant. So that's something we should know.